Okay, we're going to get started, everybody. Welcome. We have a jam-packed agenda, of course. You'll be with us for an hour and a half. Hope to get you guys out on time. Today is the monthly meeting for the LD12 Democrats. I want to remind everybody to keep yourself muted while the speakers are talking. Makes it easier for everybody to hear the speakers without interruptions. I also wanted to mention during the calls, if you send me a direct message or any of the board members, please be patient with us because we can't always look at the chat all the time, but we do try to look at it after the meeting. But feel free, if we didn't answer your questions, to make sure you text us or email us so that we can always follow up with you. This is the agenda again. We're going to hear from our Phoenix City Council District 6 Democrat candidates. We have 4 of them running. And then let's start off with the land acknowledgement. Stacy?
We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the ancestral homelands of the indigenous nations that have inhabited these lands since time immemorial, including the Ahwatukee and Peeposh peoples. Their traditional care and honoring of these lands allow us to be here today.
Excellent. Thank you, Stacy. And then Joe would like to talk about Karen. I saw him pop on. Don't forget
to popped off and popped on and unmuted. It's Karen Valentine. Karen was my neighbor. She just recently passed away, and she was the media and relations marketing manager for ASU School of Earth and Space Exploration. She helped me get into one of the Zoom watches of one of the moonshots, rocket shots. I don't remember which one it was, but that's where she worked, and was a member of the Cowgirls Historical Foundation and rode with them in a number of Tournament of Roses parades. You know, as I said, she was my neighbor. I had some yard signs up. She said, "What's going on here? I want to get involved." And she did. And she got very actively involved with me, doing some lit drops and such. And she's a great person. And that's her horse, Peaches. And her husband, Tony, and her mom, and the 2 family dogs, Brigitte and Everest. Everest is her mom's dog. Super fun people. Anyway, they've established a scholarship fund for her in recognition of all of the work that she did for ASU. But the reason that we're posting this here is that she's done a heck of a lot of work for LD18 and LD12. So we're going to miss her.
We are. Thank you so much for telling us about her. We appreciate it and everything you guys do. So we have Mark Robert Gordon, but I did not see him come on, so we're going to skip right over. And Armando is going to be up next.
Perfect. Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Armando Montero. I am the Vice President of the Tempe Union High School District Governing Board. I just wanted to thank you, Melissa, and the LD12 team for giving me some brief time to speak about the importance of Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. As many of you know, this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And it's important that we take the time not only to recognize this, but to recognize the importance of this in today's world, and also looking back at the work that we have done and need to do moving forward as a state and as a community. And so, I wanted to briefly mention some of the statistics that many of you have probably heard before, but we know that suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals who are between 10 and 34. We know Mental Health America found recently that 15% of youth experienced a major depressive episode just last year. And that continues to go up to 19% for youth that are aged 12 to 17. And even more so that I'm looking at the mental health emergencies and mental health treatment, fewer than 1 in 3 youth are actually receiving consistent mental health care in the United States currently. And it's also important that we recognize the disproportionate impact that this has on our vulnerable populations, with the highest rates of suicide in the US being among Native American and Indigenous populations, recognizing that LGBTQ plus youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide, with 45% of LGBTQ plus youth having had serious thoughts about suicide just last year, and transgender adults being 9 times more likely to attempt suicide. And while these are all, very hollowing statistics, it's important that we recognize the work that we as individuals have in curbing this epidemic, as well as the work that many people on this call have done. And so I want to give a special thank you to our state senator, Sean Bowie, for being an incredible advocate down at the state legislature for all the work that you've done. And we know that the stigma surrounding mental health is one of the biggest challenges that we face in being able to solve this. And so part of that being making sure that we're able to share our individual stories and making, and so part of that, many of you, and I've told my story before, and many of the reasons that I ran for office was mental health and social emotional well-being. My freshman and sophomore year of high school were a very tough time for me personally, going through a lot of issues with depression and anxiety, and losing a close friend of mine my sophomore year of high school. And so these are one of the major issues that got me galvanized into getting involved and running for office. And in 2020 was fortunate enough to be elected to the school board and been able to do some amazing work with my colleagues, and very fortunate to have a supportive community and district. And with that, we've been able to pass some historic action at the school board level. Just last year, almost a year ago, we passed the first of its kind, only one in the state, and most comprehensive mental health support policy for a school district in the state. And that compromises, implementing social emotional learning in our classrooms, utilizing trauma-informed practices in the classroom, fostering peer-to-peer connections, restorative discipline practices, one-on-one supports for each of our students, matching students with adults that have similar lived experiences, so on and so forth. And just out of the impact of that, we've been able to hire our first full-time social emotional wellness coordinator at the district level. We've doubled our Care 7 specialist at every one of our high schools. We have used pandemic relief funds to hire more counselors, reduce the ratio to 1 to 400 across the district. And even just here in LD12's own Desert Vista, they had their first ever mental health and social emotional wellness assembly last school year. And so we've been able to make tremendous strides just here in our local community, but also want to recognize, that we each have a role to play in that. With the work that we all are in, it's difficult. And especially as we approach election day, speaking from personal experience, even running for office and governing, it takes a very big mental and physical toll. And so, as we continue this work and get closer to election day, just make sure to take care of yourself, check in with your loved ones and your friends. And so, yeah, thank you so much for giving me this time.
Thank you, Armando. We appreciate everything that you have done for the school district and to make people aware of what is happening. So I appreciate that. Mark Robert Gordon is still not on, so we're just gonna move on. It wouldn't be an LD12 meeting without hearing from our 3 legislators. So we will get a quick update on how the campaign's going and what we can look forward to. So I will stop share screen, and Mitzi, would you like to go first?
Okay, legislative update. I went down to Florence with Rep. Butler and Rep. Hernandez, Melody Hernandez, to visit. I'm in prison. It's such an important thing for legislators to visit prisons from time to time. And this was the first time I had visited one that is a maximum security prison. So it was really important to see the conditions right there. Jimmy Jenkins, as you all know, has been doing just a wonderful job of reporting, helping to make the whole state more aware of the problems there. And, bottom line is that they're so low on staffing that the people who are incarcerated there are in their cells, these rather small cells, endlessly for a week. They told us, well, we get out once a week on Mondays. And that is not what prison is intended to be. A punishment for what you've done, but it's not intended to make you more physically or mentally ill. And so we've just had wonderful Armando talk to us about the importance of mental health, and the healthcare and mental health in the prisons is really inappropriate. It's inhumane is the bottom line. And if we want people to emerge from prison ready to go back to their families and society, then we've got to do things very differently. So I have been working with several others on an oversight bill for the prisons. We're working with large stakeholder groups, and I'm continuing the work that Diego Rodriguez had done when he was representative, and he worked with Republican Walt Blackman to develop this plan for much better oversight for our prisons. And we're hoping to move the needle on that. But that was the purpose of the visit, so we can see firsthand the huge need for much better oversight of our prisons. Right now, they are just, it's not the way prisons should be in the 21st century, even by Director Shin's admission. He would like them to be different, and we've got to get them there. And we've got to give the legislative branch has to give them a nudge to the administrative branch. So on a much brighter note, I've been working with my colleagues in education on, we did an op-ed about education, and we are planning to roll out the plan to invest in Arizona's children. So this is a petition that you can sign on to. I'll put the link in the chat. Very exciting. You may have heard there was a big splash where Matt Grass said, we're going to give $10,000 more for every teacher, which, Matt Grass worked for Governor Ducey, so we know that holds all the water of a really leaky bucket, or maybe, just a sponge. This plan that we've put together is with Representative Judy Schwiebert, Senator Christine Marsh, Jennifer Pollack, and myself. This is a plan that starts by saying we've got to urge the governor to lift the AEL. That's that spending cap on K-12 education funding. It's a ridiculous thing we have, that we have this money in the budget. It's like having money in the bank and tell schools, oh, this is your money, but we've locked all the doors and windows on it, and you can't really get to it past April unless we lift this cap. So that's got to be done. And so we are calling for the governor to lift that aggregate expenditure limit. Additionally, on this Thursday, the entire Democratic Legislative Caucus will hold a press conference to urge Governor Ducey to call a special session so we can lift that K-12 education cap on spending. And perhaps we know that the School Administrators Association has done so. Many of the alphabet education groups have all urged this. We really hope it's going to happen this time, and I'm sure Sean will have more to comment on that. So lots going on this week, this past month in visiting prisons and education, calling for comprehensive funding for our schools to help with everything from STEM and the arts to mental health. And that's a wrap from the Legislative Lookout.
How's the campaign going?
The campaign is going great. You can always donate and sign up to volunteer, but most importantly, use the mobilize links to go. It's time to get out and knock doors and phones.
That's right. All right. Okay, Patty, would you like to say a few things? How's the campaign going?
Sure, and I hope I don't have food in between my teeth here because I was eating right before I came on. So it's going well. It's going well, and I think Mitzi for going out to the prisons and all. When I was in college, I did my internship at the state prisons, and you know, I would be really interested to find out what the recidivism rate is now versus what it was then, especially now that we've gotten into private prisons and all. But yeah, security is something that they definitely need to take a look at out there at the prisons. And also that petition, I did sign that today, Mitzi. Go for it. Yes, we need to make sure we get the schools funded. Speaking of which, I have been out getting signatures for the Arizona Save Our Schools petition. If you haven't signed it yet, make sure you sign it. They only have probably close to about a week left to get all their signatures in. If you have petitions already, get them notarized, get them in. They really want to get those counted up and taken downtown next week. Like Mitzi said, we're out canvassing, and make sure you sign up to volunteer. We need lots of volunteers to canvass. If you can't canvass, we're collating. They're collating at the DCCC office on Fridays, all of our lit. We're working on a slate piece so that you don't have as many pieces to put together. Will just be one for me, Mitzi, and Stacy, and all. And a couple of endorsement announcements. I got endorsed by the Sierra Club. So you know, environment's real big for me. So Sierra Club endorsement's very important. And I really appreciate their support and their endorsement. Got endorsement by the Mayor Woods, Tempe Mayor Woods also. So I thank Tempe Mayor Woods for his endorsement. Those announcements will be coming out. My campaign manager's probably cringing out there saying, oh no, we wanted to make big announcements. But anyway, so I'm announcing, and and you'll see it later on our social media. So, and like Missy said, you know, donations very important right now. We're trying to it's less than 2 months away, from the election, and we just need to make sure we can get everything out to the public that needs to get out. And really appreciate all your help. Anybody who has donated or anybody who wants to donate, I'll put my link in the chat also. And I would really appreciate your help as we get over this next month and a half. No, what is it? 53 days. 53 days. So so thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stacy.
I'm gonna remember to turn my microphone on. What can I say that hasn't been said? I signed the petition as well. Make sure that if you get a chance to sign it, let everybody know. Post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter. Let your friends know. Spread the word so that we can get more people on board. If you haven't had a chance to watch the debate yet, it's available on the YouTube channel. We absolutely cleaned the floor with those guys. So women stood proud, and get a chance to watch it if you can. Same thing, volunteer, donate. There's so many opportunities. LD12 at Greg Stanton's. We need your help, whether it's stuffing envelopes or putting together lit or knocking or walking or driving. So make sure that you take an opportunity to do what you feel most comfortable doing. Money. We could always use it. Makes the world go round, and campaigns run. And that's it. I'll let you guys know. I got endorsed by Sierra Club. We got Teamsters. We got NARAL. We got pipe fitters. So
All right.
Making community work.
Well, thank you very much for the update. These are your 3 LD12 legislative candidates. So while we are waiting for Mark Robert Gordon, he is on his way. He's in DC, he had a lot of things, but here's your Bada Bing raffles. While we wait, I'll let you guys scan it. If you want to buy your tickets, I see everybody's phone up. So thank you. This is one of the ways that supports LD12 and the wonderful things that we do. While we're waiting, are there any first-time attendees? Could you put your name in chat? We'd like to recognize you. So if this is your first time attending an LD12 meeting, maybe you received a postcard or a text or attended, one of our events, we'd like to put your name and your precinct, if you know it, or your city in chat. So I'll give them a few minutes, or Sherry, if we have any. I haven't been looking at chat.
We do. We have Marcy Hutchison, and we will spotlight her as a candidate in just a moment, but this is her first LD12 meeting. We also have Eric Raphael and Patricia Alexander. And let's see, Roland Carranza, he's from Tempe, and he's a first-time attendee. He's going to be talking to us about the Tempe Union overrides in just a little bit. So thank you for joining us. And that is all I see for first-time attendees.
Okay, well, welcome to LD12. We're excited to have you. Don't worry, we'll put the link in the chat if you haven't gotten your bada bing. So we said hello to our first time attendees. If you are an elected official, please type your name and title in the chat. We like to recognize all of our elected officials at our meetings. We appreciate everything that they do for our district. This includes school boards, the legislative. So Sherry, I'll stop talking. You got the floor.
Okay, real quick, we also have one more first-time attendee named Holly Eldridge Reagan. Thank you so much. You don't need to worry about turning on your camera. Thanks for joining us. And then for our elected officials, we have Representative Jennifer Germain. She's one of our current representatives for LD 18. We also have Representative Mitzi Epstein. We have Kevin Walsh, who is the current Kyrene School Board President. We have Karen Lathan, who is our current constable for University Lakes Justice Precinct, and Marcy Hutchison, who is a current governing board member for the Mesa Public Schools. We also have Armando Montero, who is the Tempe Union Governing Board Vice President, and also Patrick Morales, who is a current Tempe Elementary Board member that will be retiring. And we also have Mark Robert Gordon from the DNC National Committee.
Perfect. And then what we would like to do is any candidate that is currently running, we would like you to use the Zoom hand so we can do a quick introduction. We'll skip over city council people because they are going to be talking later. So I'd like to spotlight some of our candidates that are running so they can have a quick hello and you can put a name with a face. So we'll start with Jennifer Germain.
Good evening, everybody. State Representative Jennifer Germain, running for Justice of the Peace for the San Marcos District, which covers almost the entire city of Chandler.
Perfect. Bridget, you are up next.
Hi, my name is Bridget Bellavina. I am your current constable as an appointed constable since March, and I am running to continue being your constable. I run all of Ahwatukee, Guadalupe, some of Tempe, and I'm looking forward to continue serving.
Thank you. Karen Latham. Okay, she gave me.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Karen Lathan, I'm your current constable for University Lakes, which is the other part of Tempe. So Bridget and I are not running against each other, and she needs a lot of help. So please help her out. I'm running unopposed, but I'm running just to make sure that everybody treats my community right. So remember, please help Bridget.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Trina, I can't spotlight you unless you turn the camera on. So there she is.
Oh, there I am. And now I am also not muted. I am Trina Nelson. I am running for a seat on Kyrene School Board. So happy to be here as always.
All right. Is there anybody else? Did I forget any? Oh, wait, Kevin Walsh. There you are. Let me spotlight you.
Hey everyone, Kevin Walsh. I'm running for the second of 2 seats on the Kyrene School Board. So Trina's running for 1. I'm running for the 2nd seat. I am currently on the board running for re-election. I've been on board for the last 4 years, president the last 2, and just really hoping to keep keeping strong public schools in our neighborhood. We know how important that is. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I saw Mark Robert Gordon pop in. He is going to give us an update on.
Melissa, I'm sorry to interrupt really quick. We have Marcy Hutchinson from Mesa Public Schools on too. And I know she has to run to another meeting. So let's just give her a real quick minute to introduce herself.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, here she is.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Hi, everyone. I'm Marcy Hutchinson. I am currently on the Mesa Public Schools Board. I'm running for re-election, and we have 2 seats open. There are 7 of us running, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm seeing a number of familiar faces, like AJ and Mitzi. I couldn't have gotten to this position in the last 4 years if it hadn't been for good old LD18 support. It was crucial to my winning in Mesa, and I'm thrilled to be here again with some of you folks that are now in LD12. I'm working with LD9, which is where Dobson Ranch currently is, but I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm hoping I can garner some support from you folks on the west side for Mesa Public Schools and my re-election campaign.
Excellent. Thanks, Marcy. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, now we will go on to Mark Robert Gordon. There you are, Mark. Thanks for joining us from DC.
You are welcome. You can't tell that by the background behind me though, can you? Hello, LD12. It's good to see all of you. So many friendly faces that I know. Arizona, as I've been saying, is front and center for this election. You know that by the hard work that you're doing, by the door knocking that you're doing, by the candidates that are getting attention up and down the ballot. But I've been surprised. Well, let me start. I'm in DC for DNC meetings. We do normally in non-COVID times, we would do 3 to 4 in-person meetings of the 450 or so DNC members during the year in person, and that's a good opportunity for us to get our. I'm moving myself down so I can see everybody. Okay, good. Hi. And there you still are. So I am, and you disappeared again. I don't know what's going on with this iPad while I'm traveling. Sorry. I've been surprised at this meeting, talking to people, the level of knowledge about Arizona politics that is coming up across the country as I met with my fellow delegates, as well as elected officials from around the country here. I'm talking that they know who our Attorney General nominee is. They know who the opposing Attorney General nominee is. They know the key legislative races in Arizona, and they know who the candidates are in those key legislative races in Arizona. There is heavy attention to our state, and it is matched by the level of financial commitment that the DNC nationally has given to Arizona and promises to give through other sources in this home stretch for the election, and they're very much paying attention. My job, frankly, and I'll talk to this meeting frankly, since I know this district so well, the polling is showing, and nothing is to be taken for granted at all, but the polling is showing that Mark Kelly, his lead has extended. And my concern has been that as that extends, and polling, we know from history, is not necessarily prologue. So polling can be wrong. But my concern has been that as resources get spread around the country, and as a race that was thought to be ultra competitive seems to have a little bit of a margin now, that they might pull resources from Arizona and put it elsewhere, which only affects our down ballot candidates and our federal candidates and our statewide candidates. So my job and the job of our fellow delegates and to the DNC has been to make the pitch for Arizona that we must invest and continue to invest no matter the senatorial race here in Arizona, because this truly is one of the most diverse states in the country. It's in top 5 in diversity now of the country in terms of racial and ethnic population of Arizona. And this is really a signal by putting resources into Arizona to make sure that this is a long-term investment, not just for this cycle, but that we continue the gains that we've made in the last few election cycles. Regardless of the results this cycle, we need to invest in this cycle so that we will continue to build for the future. So that's been my mission while here at the DNC, which concluded on Saturday, although they've held us over because we have a special event celebrating the Inflation Reduction Act at the White House tomorrow. So, and by the way, the DNC members here serve as volunteers, just like you do, just like state committee members do. So each of these, when I'm going out around the Western region for my role in the DNC as a small business the Small Business Council director for the Western region, I'm going out on my own dime to make sure, as are every other DNC member, to make sure that we win elections here, throughout the Western states, and wherever we're doing business. But my number one job is to make sure that we're bringing resources back to Arizona. The second thing I want to say, besides the attention to Arizona, is the polling that has come back on issues. It's clear that that the Dobbs decision and what happened to abortion rights and control over our own bodies and our own choices, that we are becoming the party of freedom by polling, now demonstrating that. Personal freedoms, which is a message that Republicans have used to their advantage in the past. Now it's us who are the party of freedom, and we need to make that message come home. Make sure that this is thought of as Rovember, that we're going to win in Rovember. Make sure that it's about making the difference on that issue, that they are taking it to issues fundamental to our personal freedoms. They don't believe in birth control, but they do believe in controlling our bodies. And we, on the other hand, are about the party of freedom. We have substantial polling to back that up. Row your vote is something that I've seen around. Rovember is what the DNC is going with. I appreciate the t-shirts I've even seen for row your vote. I actually have one on order. And with Republicans getting fancy saying that they're for women's rights and that they have put up female candidates, such as our governor's candidates, you know, Anna the Hun can be as right-wing as Attila the Hun. And if you put up candidates that are going to attack your personal freedoms, attack your liberties, attack your rights as to personhood, that is, it doesn't matter who the messenger is on the other side, if it's a female or a male. And what we found at the DNC and polling that was presented to us is that independent voters need to hear that message, that just because it's a female candidate, it's not an equal of two. It's about what they stand for in terms of you and your vote and your freedoms. And so on the issue of your vote, perhaps the biggest attention here at the DNC among Arizona candidates was not Mark Kelly, was not Katie Hobbs, it was actually our Secretary of State race, because we were the #1 race where they brought up repeatedly the example on the other side being an oath keeper. That Mark Fincham is an oath keeper, and they didn't name him by name, but I knew who they were talking about. So there is incredible attention on Arizona. There's incredible attention on the Roe issue and on that code word of code phrases that you should use in your canvassing, and in your messaging moving forward, which is about that we're the party of freedom, and that we are protecting your right to your personal body and your personal choices. In terms of resources to Arizona, we are in competition again, not just with ourselves and successes that we might have on some fronts, but other states as Democrats are looking to expand the map. The Metro Phoenix area for 3 election cycles in a row was the #1 highest cost market for TV advertisements for an election cycle, the Phoenix area. More than South Florida, which has concurrently had competitive governor and US Senate races, more than New York, more than LA or Chicago or other places you might think are ahead of us. It's Metro Phoenix 3 cycles in a row. We don't expect that to be changing this cycle. Again, our battle right now is to make sure that our other races stay as competitive as possible so that we can get our message across to keep resources coming into this state. Because other very less expensive states that now, with the Alaska example of picking up a congressional seat, Democrats nationally are looking at other examples. The North Dakota race is now all of a sudden looking competitive, possibly competitive in a US Senate race that we haven't been talking about because it's a three-way race. So we want resources to go there and to pick up a bang for your buck US Senate seat there, but we also want to keep resources in Arizona. I don't know how much time I'm allotted here. I may have already gone over, or I may have more time remaining. If I have more time remaining, I'm happy to answer questions because I've been dealing with people, elected officials around the country, but if I'm out, I'm out. So I'll wait.
Oh, Mitzi has a question for you.
Well, I just wanted to point out something you probably don't know, Mark. First of all, thank you for the work you're doing. We're so lucky as a volunteer that Mark not only serves as our delegate, but also comes and talks to us and tells us all this information. I so appreciate that you are very, very communicative. But one thing I want to communicate is that in this district, Terry Rowe is the bad Republican who's running for the state house. So we are not going to row the boat. We're not even going to mention that name again. In this district, we are going to traverse your vote in the House. And that's, if you can help us remember that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Forgive me my misstep on this district, and I do know enough of what's going on. You are correct, Mitzi.
Well,
Okay,
if you could maybe stay on, and if anybody has any questions in chat, we do have several more things we're going to hear from our city council. So thanks again for joining us, though, from Washington. Sherry?
Okay, so tonight's volunteer spotlight is Denise Scallon. She is currently a PC in the Alexander precinct. She is a retired co-owner of the Union IBEW 640 commercial contracting business. She is a lifelong Democrat, but got more politically active and involved due to the high stakes of the 2020 election, like a lot of us. And she began by organizing her own Zoom meetings during the pandemic in support of Biden and Harris with her friends and neighbors. And she also began phone banking with Mission for Arizona and still does that to this day. After that, she became active with the LD18 Democrats and now LD12. And she just recently stepped up along with Melanie Magasos to be the city leads for Tempe. And we are so grateful for her activism and involvement with our LD. And also Melanie, of course, for stepping up and really helping get the word out to all of our team members and volunteers in Tempe about what's going on around the district, how they can get involved, and keeping up with those communications. Thank you so much, Denise, for being so active with us.
Thank you. Susie. Susie's going to talk about our LD12Dems Click Squad.
Okay, I am indeed. I have a simple ask. I'm not going to ask you guys for money or anything like that. I would just like a little bit of your time. I would like you to join the LD12Dems Click Squad and click on our social media posts, whatever platforms you're on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Unfortunately, we are not on TikTok yet, although everybody else is doing quite well on it. If somebody knows TikTok and would like to help us get going on that, we would appreciate it. But if you could like, share, retweet, all that stuff, it doesn't require much time. I don't know, it depends on how much you're on social media, but please join our Click Squad. And one more ask, please, please, please join the LD12Dems roving paparazzi. You all have a smartphone, I know you do. It has a camera on it, I know it does. And all you have to do is take pictures at LD12 events of people smiling and having fun and making a difference. If you're comfortable taking videos, you could do a short video of people, especially the candidates, that would be lovely. Just ask them what they like about the event, why they're a Democrat, whatever you can think of. And it doesn't need to be more than a minute. That's really about all the attention span people have anymore. So take pictures and videos of each other at canvases. Just remember to smile so it looks like you're having fun, even though it's really too hot to be out there doing that. Send all the photos and videos to me by text at the number on the screen. There's also info in the chat, or you can email them to me at secretary@azld12dems.org. Or if you're on Facebook, message them to me on Facebook. I'm very open to any of those ways. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. Or, take pictures, post them yourself, just tag AZLD12Dems so that we can repost them so that I see them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, becoming a poll worker or observer, we have election attorney Paul White, who is going to talk to us about becoming the poll worker and observer. So, Paul.
Even more than that, there's so many things that we need to be doing. As you guys know, I've been the election integrity liaison for LD12 to our state party election integrity committee for the last few years. And obviously now is going to be the crazy and busy season. And there's, in addition to being a poll worker, there's also being a poll observer. And there are many other things, ways that you can volunteer to help with our election integrity issues, because there's growing concern among all of us that the Republicans are going to be trying various different tactics at ballot drop boxes, at the polling sites, the vote centers, and in the parking lots of the vote centers even. So I'm just going to briefly go over what some of the differences are, and what I'd like to stress right now and to be for the next several weeks is kind of the maitre d' that will help you do the best, go to the best thing, the best ways that you can volunteer to help our election integrity over the next few weeks. So I'm putting my my email and my.
Hey, Paul, you accidentally muted yourself.
How the heck did I do that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess there's something, if you click or if you try to hit enter, you mute yourself. Okay, well, so I'm putting my email and my phone number in there. And so let me really briefly go over what the different things are. Poll worker, that's actually working for Maricopa County. That's a paid position. There are different things that you can do. You can be just on election day, November 8th. You can be a poll worker for the early voting sites. So for a 4-week period, basically, starting in just a few weeks. And you can also be a shorter term for the couple weeks before the election. So in addition to that, the county is looking for other election workers that are paid positions, such as driving ballots and helping out courier, things like that. And special election boards. This may be interesting. This may be something that some of you want to do during October, is be part of the special election board that goes to the goes to senior living centers, goes to hospitals, things like that, to help people that aren't able to cast their ballot otherwise, to give them that option of having a Democrat and a Republican go and help them vote during the early voting period. And by the way, if you know somebody that needs that special election board during the month of October, now is the time to make a reservation for them to have the county send somebody out during the month of October. And the phone number for the county, it's not in the chat thing that I put in there, but it's 602-506-1511. That's been the Maricopa County Recorder's Office phone number for many, many years. It's ingrained. It's on the back of my eyelids, I think. So those are the different poll worker options. Poll observer, now that's also inside the voting centers, inside the inside polling places. It's also going to be observing during the tabulation process, things like that. And that's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has one observer per vote center, or the ability to have one observer per vote center. And the Republican Party has the ability to have that as well. So we want to fill up as many of those poll observer roles as possible, not just on election day, but also during the early voting. So those are volunteer positions, and the link that I put in the chat will actually send you to the Mission for Arizona form, because Mission for Arizona is in charge of the Arizona Democratic Party voter protection. Some of the other things that that I am working with other people on, and there are other groups, is poll escorting, helping to identify and to combat any parking lot intimidation on election days, kind of helping people get to that 75-foot line where where Trumpsters or gun-toting truck wheel, people that are going to be trying to intimidate people and make people feel uncomfortable at many of the vote centers. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know that is something you're interested in. There's also ways that you can volunteer without leaving the comfort of your own home. There's going to be many phone volunteering opportunities over the next several weeks. The voter protection, our Democratic Party has a voter hotline that we need people to answer questions when people call in. We've had this for several years, and I think it's 833-VOTE-FOR-AZ. Maybe the phone number, if I remember that. It's not on my eyelids yet. So we need hotline operators, and that's a very good volunteer position. Training, obviously, the Democratic Party, Mission for Arizona trains you on these different things. We're also going to be having some projects that you can help us with. I just learned for the first time this past week that some of our voters here in LD12, but especially on college campuses, are federal only voters, and those federal only voters may not have been eligible to sign the Save Our School petition, the referenda petition, or the initiatives. Some of the Fed only voters got struck from the initiative petitions. So what the Democratic Party is trying to do is reach out to our Democratic federal only voters. And they're federal only voters because they didn't provide proof of citizenship, or they filled out the wrong form, the national form instead of the Arizona form. So they're only allowed to vote for Congress or president, the federal offices. So we're going to be trying to get them re-registered before the registration deadline of October 11th to get them to be full voters, full participating voters, so that they can vote from the bottom of the ballot up. So we're going to need help with that. And I'm going to be, getting out this information fast and furious through our newsletters, on our websites, on our calendars. But if you want to be if you want to get updates, if you want to talk to me about where you would best fit in volunteering, just give me a call at the phone number or drop me an email, send me a text, whatever, and I'll answer any questions. And I think I'm probably at my 5 minutes now.
Thank you very much. I know you'll be on for the rest of the meeting and answer questions. So thank you. Because I know that there is a shortage because a lot of people from California used to come over, and that's going to be tough. They can't come. So we need to recruit more people. So please.
That's right. That's right. In the past, that we're going to need more. We're going to need only Arizona poll observers because the Republicans in the legislature didn't like the California Democrats and other Democrats came to observe Arizona voting and to make sure that voting rights are protected in the polling places. So they passed a law that poll observers, we can only have Arizona ones. Thanks for mentioning that, Melissa.
I just remembered as I'm putting up the slides, and Sherry's going to talk next because, you know, we're all about events and recruiting. Sherry?
Okay, thank you, Melissa, and thanks, Paul, for that info. Our next big fundraising event is going to be in about 2 weeks, Wednesday, September 28th. We are doing a bottoms-up fundraiser. We have been following the lead of Maricopa County Democratic Party in encouraging everybody to vote bottoms up. And along those lines, we decided, why don't we all share a drink together, have some appetizers, and shoot the breeze. It will be on our normal Wednesday, which is normally Watering Hole Wednesday. Excuse my dog, but we will be doing this as a ticketed event. And with that will come your admission to the event, the appetizers, an alcoholic beverage, and entry into our raffle. We are going to have candidates from the bottom of the ballot all the way up to the top. We're still confirming, but so far we have Lauren Kuby, a lot of our school board candidates. Of course, our LD candidates will be there. And if you would like to purchase tickets, the link is in the chat, and you can also purchase additional raffle tickets.
Thank you. I can't wait. I purchased my ticket today, right before the meeting. So I'm very excited. I think this is going to be nice. Pop in, pop out, talk to candidates. So, all right. Well, here's our call to action. We're almost done, and we're going to hear from our city council. Allie?
Yeah, I have a quick ask of everyone. So the biggest thing that you can do to help our LD12 candidates is get out and canvass. And I know that that sounds intimidating, and a lot of people aren't really wanting to do that, but we have a 20% contact rate when we go out and knock on doors. So we talk to 1 in every 5 people, and it is proven that when you have that one-on-one conversation, it is the best thing you can do. So we'll put the information for all 3 of our canvases. All 3 of our candidates go out every weekend, and you are guaranteed to see one of our candidates at any one of these canvases every weekend. And so, as mentioned on the slide, we will pair you up with someone if you're not feeling confident, or you can come as a driver. Any of those situations, all of that is super helpful. And then I'll tie that into, also we're doing phone banks. So if you're not comfortable going to someone face-to-face, phone banks is a great way to do that. We're working on getting a phone dialer up so you don't even have to use your own phone. That's in the process right now. But we have this every weekend, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the day, or in the evenings on the weekdays, and during the day on the weekends. So this is a great way to just start getting involved. We have a script. It's really easy. Someone will train you, and people will be there with you the whole way. So please, please, please sign up to volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tempe Union High School, they are having a fundraiser. And I think it's either Beth or Roland are going to talk about it.
Well, Roland's going to talk about what's going to be on the ballot really, really quickly, and then I'll talk about the fundraiser.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Roland. Don't forget to unmute.
Okay, can I share a couple of slides?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to share just a couple of slides, and I kind of put this together at the last minute, so I apologize. I don't have a fancy starting slide, but in general, we have 2 items on the ballot that are for what I call local enrichment, and it all has to do with the fact that nationally, Arizona ranks near the bottom as far as funding per student. And so this is just a map, and it doesn't need to be updated every year because the bottom line is that Arizona ranks either 48th, 49th, and lately close to the bottom. And so with that being the case, that's why a lot of school districts in the state will go out to their communities to request either an M&O override, which can go up to 15%. This is the statute that speaks to the M&O override. And Tempe Union has a 15% override in place. And so it's good for 7 years, but the last 2 years it begins to step down. And so this is currently we're in year 5 of our M&O override. So we're going out to renew it to try to have it continue at the full 15% level. And then the law in Arizona also allows for an override, additional funds for capital purposes. And that one is limited to 10% of the revenue control limit. Again, it's all a function of the fact that we want to do more to provide quality education for the students in our community. And so these overrides that have been in place for a number of years, again, we're trying to renew them to continue to allow the things that have been in place. And so for the M&O override, it represents about $13.6 million of our funding in our current year. And the first 10% of that override, for many years, we were only at 10%, and it would fund the items that are listed here, from reduced class size, core instructional programs, to technology, athletics, co-curricular activities. The last 5%, in 2017, we as a district went from 10% to the full 15%, and that final 5% was completely dedicated to increasing certified teaching compensation. That happened right before the governor came up with his 20% by 2020. So this allowed us to really remain very competitive for our teachers here in our district and not lose them to our surrounding school districts. So that's what our M&O is for these items, and that's the dollar amount. And again, it's a continuation that we're hoping to secure. And then for our DAA, let me see if I can get this 85 maybe. We currently have a $6.5 million override per year, and we're in the last year, year 7. And so we're asking for this one to go up to 8.7. The items that are listed, you'll see that just under 60% of it is for student technology and staff technology needs. We do have 8% going to textbooks, and you see the other amounts that are listed, but a lot of it is equipment. It's capital type items that usually have a useful life of between 3 to 5, 7 years. And so these items, the reason that we're asking an additional amount to go from $6.5 million per year to 8.7 is because the cost to replace these items, when we first secured this override 7 years ago, these items cost more with inflation. And so we're wanting to maintain the same type of replacement cycles, but things just cost more. So you can see what those items are for our DAA, District Additional Assistance, or in other words, our capital. And 2012 was the last time that we went out to our voters for a bond election, and that was a $75 million bond. We just finished expending those dollars last year. And so we don't have any more funds for replacing some of these longer term items. 20% of the $100 million is going towards lighting improvements throughout the district. Another big area is we're trying to upgrade all of our auditoriums and instructional areas. We do have bus replacements out of our bond. Improvements to our athletics and sports areas, HVACs, walkways, roofing, plumbing, flooring, weatherization, fencing. But basically, these are things that you would typically fund like from a mortgage. And these are things that are due to the fact that we have a building renewal program that is not fully funded. There have been gains in the last couple of years as far as grant money, but this is what we do as a district to try to make sure that we maintain all of our buildings and to be able to provide the instruction that we provide. So just to give you a comparison of what the impact in green, this is the current tax rate that funds the 15% that we have in place, the $6.5 million DAA and the retirement of the $75 million bonds from 2012. And so the projected tax rate would change to the yellow column if the elections were secured. In the voter pamphlet, we have to publicize an average home in our district, and currently that's at 250,000 roughly. And this is assessed value, which is a little bit lower than the market value. But the impact for the current year, when you add all three components, the average homeowner is paying about $150. If we were to secure all three items on the election, we would go to $158. The M&O is up by like $2. The DAA, which is going from 6.5 to 8.7, that's seeing about a $10 increase. Based on our retirement of our bonds, we're actually seeing a slight decrease. So on an annual basis, we're looking at about an $8.17 increase for all three components. On a monthly basis, that's about just under 70 cents per month. So again, these are for the first two items, the overrides, they're continuations with the capital being just a slight increase. And our bonds, again, we've exhausted our bond and those are more longer term facility needs. And so with that, I just hope that you can have an idea of what is in our three election questions. And I'll just open it up for any questions that folks might have.
Well, people can answer or ask the questions in chat. We're running a little over time by 10 minutes.
I can go really fast. So tomorrow we are having our kickoff event for the Tempe Union High School District bond override DA, and it's yes for as you can see that you have the thing right there. And I am one of the vice chairs. Genevieve is our chair of the PAC this year. So tomorrow is our kickoff event over at the Fort Peaks Tasting Room. We had promised them about 100 people. So far, we sold 77 tickets. TSEA has bought several for our teachers, like 40 of them. So we're hoping we have a lot of teachers show up. We will have yard signs there. We will have a literature there. Corey Woods will be our MC for our event that evening. And so we'd like to have people go online and buy tickets tonight from voteyestempe.com. I know there's a lot of things going on tomorrow, but it's from 6 to 9. And so, there's definitely, you could find a time in there to go there. There'll be at least 2 tours of the brewery there. And it comes with 1 free drink ticket and appetizer. So anyone that wants to come, that'd be great. If not, if you just want to donate, we need the money. We'd appreciate that too. So thanks, Melissa. I know we're over time.
That's okay. We'll try to wrap it up. I'm going to skip the next 2 slides. If you haven't gotten your LD12 t-shirt, I'll make sure that stuff gets in the chat about that. But the one thing I did want to talk about was the neighbor-to-neighbor letters. They are being printed. I'm going to give you guys a quick look. I'm going to share my screen. Here is a neighbor-to-neighbor letter that is currently being printed. So we're very excited. We are going to be sending out 30,000 of these. So there's going to be information in the chat to sign up to send these out. And then not only that, but I'm going to give you a quick sneak preview of your LD12 Democrat vote ballot. It goes to the top of the ticket, to the bottom of the ticket. It has judges, it has propositions, it has city council. It has everything that somebody will need in our district to vote and fill their ballots out. So please, we will be sharing these via emails. You don't have to take screenshots or anything just yet, but they are at the printers. We will have them in a few days in our hands, and then we're going to start writing. We are very, very excited. So I'll put the slide back up. But of course, we still don't have a total funded project. We are using all of our funds this year to get these 3 people elected to maintain those 3 seats in our district. So if you would consider donating a box of envelopes or a roll of stamps, you can use the QR code and just make a $25 purchase or $60, and we will get them. So we appreciate all of our recurring donors, everybody who's bought LD12 t-shirts, which I'm wearing tonight, and supporting us in our efforts. So remember, all of this will go out, we'll send it out in an email, it's always in there. But upcoming events, we have a lot of upcoming events, you know, you heard about them, but I want to make a couple of mentions. We have Tukey Talks. You saw the fundraiser. Tomorrow is a busy day. There's 2 events. You have the candidate forum with the city council. You'll get to hear them all again tomorrow. Tempe Union, we have Tukey Talks where we're going to feature candidates. There's none of this. It's specifically featuring certain candidates. And I believe, I forgot who was up on the first one, is Lauren Kuby, Tyler Kissel, and Sharon Sauls. And that is Thursday this week. We have house parties going on. We have kickoff parties, bottoms up fundraiser, and you know, the LD party time, you know us, getting out there, socializing. So without further ado, I would like to introduce or have Sherry help out with the 4 Democratic candidates that are running for city council.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you to the city council candidates for being so patient as we work through our really busy monthly meeting schedule today. We thank you for your patience and for taking time out to be with us tonight. I know that you guys have a busy day tomorrow with the candidate forum with all of the candidates for District 6, so we really appreciate you taking the time. Tonight we're going to hear from Joan Green, Mark Mormons, and Kellen Winslow. Unfortunately, Harry had a conflict with his schedule, and I don't believe he was able to resolve that. I don't think he's on. No, he is not. So we will hear from 3 of the 4. And for what we'll do is we'll have you each make an opening statement, about a minute, just introducing yourself. And then we will open up to questions from the audience. So, and if anybody has questions for our city council candidates, please put those in chat. And we'll give you a minute or 2 to respond to each question. And then we'll do some closing statements at the end. We'll go in alphabetical order. So let's start with Joan Green. You got to unmute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Joan Green, and if you're not fired up and inspired, well, hopefully the next 3 of us will take you over that edge. My name is Joan Green. I'm a Phoenix native. I'm a business owner, animal rescue advocate, and I'm the only Democrat who is an Ahwatukee resident. I'm running for Phoenix City Council because I want our families to live in a safe city with strong public services, an educated city with thriving businesses, and a responsible city that protects our air, land, wildlife, and water. Now we're at a fork in the road, and we must decide, do we move forward or continue to slide backwards on priorities that are important to you, our community, and our city? The road we take depends on who you elect to represent on the Phoenix City Council. Now, I've spent 35 years as a business owner solving problems using a combination of critical thinking skills, common sense, and out-of-the-box solutions. I'm community-focused and integrity-driven. I will represent you with compassion, transparency, and accountability. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work for the future of our families, and I hope you join me. For more information, my website is joangreenaz.com, and I'll put that in the chat room. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Mark, you are up next.
Hi, everyone, and thank you to our LD12 organizers for creating this environment for all of us. And like they keep saying, bottoms up, so be sure to vote for your city council candidate in your upcoming election. My name is Mark Mormons. I'm running for Phoenix City Council in District 6, and my story actually begins before me with my parents. My dad actually came to this country from Argentina in 1980 when he was 22 years old in the middle of a military dictatorship. He left a country with no opportunity in pursuit of that American dream, and I have the benefit of kind of being the end result of that. But my family's story is one of kind of two Americas. While I pursued higher education and I love school board candidates because I'm the success and product of K through 12 public education, my brother got caught up in the criminal justice system with substance abuse, recidivism, mental health issues, and was sort of kept trapped by that same system that propelled me forward. Since then, it's been my kind of goal in life to find ways to create opportunity for others and to continue to use my success to throw down the ladder for people in different or similar situations. I did that after I graduated from Stanford's business school. I came to Arizona and started working for the state in economic development at the Arizona Commerce Authority. I lead all of Arizona's tech and startup programs, and one of the main drivers of the fact that we've become a major tech hub here in the Southwest, with the goal of creating economic opportunity and high wage jobs for all of Arizona. Now what we're seeing is we are becoming that tech hub, and we're actually the fastest growing big city in the country. There's a lot of changes and transformations coming our way, and it's our job as leaders to be proactive in planning for those changes. We see new industries moving in like semiconductors and electric vehicle manufacturing, lithium ion battery manufacturing, and SaaS software companies. And with that, population continues to grow. We already feel the growing pains that come with that type of growth, and we don't have to look far to see what happens if we don't make change happen now. We're seeing a full-on housing crisis and shortage of available and affordable housing. We need to be thinking long-term about our water security. And of course, all of you have probably noticed our streets are becoming more congested as we continue to add more people and cars to our roads. And that's why I'm running. Estimates show that our population is set to double by 2040, and that growth isn't slowing down. Whether or not you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, regardless, we need to plan for it. And so we need to start making decisions and taking steps today to make sure that we don't fall victim to our own success over the next decade or so. You can just look at cities like Seattle, San Francisco, and Austin to see what happens when a city isn't prepared for the overwhelming growth that's about to happen here in Phoenix. The future is incredibly bright. We have amazing and unbelievable economic opportunity at our fingertips, but it won't mean anything if people don't have a place to live or clean water to drink. And that's why I'm running for Phoenix City Council, and I would love to earn your support and your vote in the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Next up, we will hear from Kellen Winslow. I'm sorry, Kellen Wilson. I'm thinking football here. Football just started. Sorry
He's
about
in prison for murdering somebody, so not Kellen Winslow. Hello, everyone. My name is Kellen Wilson. And like Mark and Joan, I am running for Phoenix City Council District 6. I really appreciate everybody's energy and enthusiasm on this call tonight. It's super exciting. This is what's going to make the difference. I have done voter engagement, voter outreach for the last decade. I've been a union organizer with Unite Here Local 11, which is a food service and hospitality workers union. And so I have been on the ground with thousands and thousands of employees who are underemployed, fighting to stabilize, to have stable housing, a good job to provide for their family. And during the pandemic, 98% of our membership were laid off. And so it turned into crisis mode. It turned into crisis management. And so I very quickly found all of the holes that exist in the city for folks to seek resources, find resources, and stabilize or restabilize. And those are urgent matters that we can take on at the city level. I have been knocking on thousands of doors. I have a small team out there. I may have knocked on your door. My team has knocked on over 5,000 doors in the last 6 weeks, and we'll continue to do that all the way through the election. So I'm very excited about meeting any of you on the doors, talking about issues, talking about what's important to you. I'm a mom. I have 2 small kids, a 5 and a almost 7. He would be mad if I called him 6. kindergartner and second grader. And so every decision that has to do with families, parks, libraries, public school, anything that's coming through in front of the council, I think about the opportunities that my children and their peers get. And it's a scary experience for public education right now in the city, and I'm experiencing that firsthand. Just to add, I recently earned the endorsement of Arizona list, so I'm very, very proud to be a pro-choice candidate and continue to push that at the city level in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Kellen, so much. Okay, so our first question from the audience, and we'll switch up the order here really quick. So we'll start with Mark, then go to Kellen, and then to Joan. Our first question is from Beth Bremer, and her question is, with all of our growth, how will you prioritize sustainability of our water and climate? And Mark, we'll give you 1 minute.
Yeah, great question. I love talking about water. So first we need to think about conservation and where it's going to use. This is going to be a local, state, and federal issue. At the state level, I hope you're looking at state races, because right now agricultural use is the #1 cause of water use in the state. Federally, we're going to need intervention because the Colorado River supplies water to 40 million Americans across the Southwest. Here locally, we have our own challenges that we can be working to resolve. #1, we're importing a lot of high water intensive industries across the valley. Intel, you might know, is doing a $20 billion expansion down in Chandler. Taiwanese Semiconductor in North Phoenix is set to use 800,000 residents worth of water per year. How do we set standards and requirements for water recycling and water reuse for industries like that? And instead of making those voluntary standards that companies are setting for themselves, how do we implement those as requirements before any company like that moves into Phoenix or the greater metro area? Additionally, we should be looking at conservation in terms of prevention of water evaporation. California and India are piloting programs where they're putting solar panels over their canals to prevent evaporation. That's something that we should be leading on and doing here. We can be looking at personal use. Actually, I've been endorsed by State Rep Sarah Ligori that introduced a rainwater harvesting bill at the state level to provide incentives for people to capture and reuse rainwater in their homes. And then also to provide incentives to move towards desert landscaping, which we can do as well. We need to also be looking at innovation and technology. Here in Phoenix, we're home to a tech company called Source Water, which uses hydro panels to pull water out of the air. This technology is being used in sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East today. And so how do we start to scale technologies like that in our own backyard? I'm really, really excited about the possibilities to lead on issues of sustainability. Obviously, we talked about water, but we're seeing it with heat and air quality as well. Phoenix is one of the worst cities in the country when it comes to air quality. And if we keep adding more combustion vehicle cars to our roads, it's only going to get worse as that air is trapped in our valley. And so we need to be thinking about electrification, not just of vehicles, but our entire grid to make sure that our air quality standards remain high. A lot of federal funding relies on hitting those air quality standards, and a lot of health impacts are happening in communities right now because of our poor air quality. So I'm excited to lead on climate, and I think that we should be a global leader in sustainability, and leaders from around the world should be coming here to learn from us.
Thank you, Mark. Kellen, same question.
Okay, I agree with what a lot of Mark said about innovation and really being a space. You know, we have major state universities that could be leading on a lot of this innovation, and I would be very happy to support that and promote that. I won't pretend to be a water expert. I'm a workforce development expert, but I think that bringing experts together and you know, bringing folks together, because this city council race is nonpartisan. So many of the people who participate in local elections are not just Dems or people who believe in climate change or that there is a water issue. And so it is about being able to talk to folks, because not everybody's going to want to give up their grassy lawn or their golf course. And so it's about public education. It's about, you know, talking to constituents and talking to residents of Arizona and understanding what people are willing to do on a personal level, but then also, like I said in the beginning, about really tapping into our network of incredible startups and education resources to get experts on the case to really take on these things.
Thank you, Kellen. Joan?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate this. Water is a big, big deal. I've been talking about this for years, and we all are focused on the same things and how we're going to solve the same goal, which is to make sure that we do have water. I visited Source about a month ago in their headquarters, which is in Scottsdale, and took a tour, and it was fantastic and fabulous. Now their problem is something that we can work on. It's the red tape from the city. They don't know which department that they need to go to make this happen. And so that my goal is to make sure that we are investing in Jagger. My goal is to make sure that we are investing in water and environmental technology. That needs to be our big push there. And how do we make it easier so they cut through the red tape, streamline it, and let's get this thing going, because the downtown where we have, for instance, people who are unhoused, they could do gallons of water a day, tons of water a day for the people to have. Jagger wants to stay, I'm so sorry. He's like, I love water. So we need to, again, cut through the red tape and find out how we can get it onto our streets, because we can. Now, another thing that we need to do is architectural, changing our ordinances so we can capture rainwater. We don't get a lot of rainwater, but whatever we do, we should be using. We should also help our people. I know that I moved into Ahwatukee in '93. It's grass. Everything was grass then, and we cannot afford, real folk can't afford to rip up their front lawn to put in desert landscaping. So we do need to offer not only homeowners, but HOAs, a credit, money, whatever it takes, so we can help them remove the grass and put in the desert landscaping. There's so much that we can do. And I know that I'm sure that we have all talked to each other, read each other's platforms, and we're all talking about the same thing, because we all believe the same thing, that water is very serious, and how do we move forward? So whichever one you do choose, you will know that we are trying to make sure that we do not die. I guess to put it easier. To put it in. Oh, can I just say this? So we need to have somebody strong to say no, as Mark brought up. No to the businesses that are coming in. We do not need a water park. I don't care what they're saying, if it's recycled or whatever. There is still evaporation that happens. We are in Arizona. That's all we do is evaporate. So let's say no to some of these businesses. And that's, sorry. Went on.
Thank you, Joan.
I get all fired up about my no. Yes, to technology, no to them.
Yes, we want to get to as many questions as we can. So Melissa's telling me I'm timing, and I'm going to start cutting people off if they go long. So the next question is, what are your plans to address the housing crisis that Phoenix and other cities obviously are going through? I know that we've asked this question in a different form or fashion, so feel free to answer however you see fit. We'll start with Kellen and then go to Joan and Mark.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we are in a housing crisis, as we've said, unprecedented across all price points, from affordable to luxury in the Valley. And much of that can be tracked all the way back to increased time it takes for projects to make it through the planning department in the city. Something that Joan mentioned is that there's a lot of red tape at the city level, and particularly in the planning department and in the housing process. And so something that happens quite a bit is that folks are not able to move from concept to completion in a efficient time. There is no incentive to build affordable housing for developers because it is so laborious on the front end. And so I want to work really hard to figure out how to both work with neighbors about what's coming into the area and also help that process through the planning department. The staffing level of the planning department is back still at what it was around 2008. And so we need more people. Am I being cut off?
Sorry, yes.
Okay, I need like a horn or something.
No, we need like a gong or a bell or something.
Yeah.
I'll try to be louder next time. Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, let me do this real quick before Jagger comes back. All right, housing. I cannot believe that we're having this conversation. I am concerned, and not Susan Collins concerned, but very distraught about this. We should not be in this position. When my cousin ran for mayor in the 1970s, he said one of the issues was housing, and we're still doing it, except it's exasperated on there. We could have this taken care of. We have empty buildings, we have hospitals, we have strip centers, we have malls, we have hotels that we could be using and transferring over to homes to get them off the street and to get them safe. Building more shelter beds is not the way to do it. We need people, when you have a shelter bed, you've moved out during the day. We need tiny homes. We could have pallet homes built on city property that cost no more than $6,000 a piece. We could get private industry to sponsor this, and we could get these people up and out of the street into a tiny home with a door, so we can also get them into jobs. That is one of the reasons why some of them don't have employment, is because they have no place to put their belongings. That's not fair. We have families that have a crisis. So even though we have the money, we need to really take a strong look at the auditing process and say $70 million. Are we still giving the same people the same money and getting the same result? Or are we changing the money and looking for a new path for success? I believe that we need to do everything we could possibly do. And I believe that time to kick the can is done. Thank you.
Thanks, Joan.
Time.
I'll just add to that this is fundamentally a supply and demand issue. We're victims of our own success. We're about 200,000 units short of where we need to be if we wanted to have a more adequate housing model right now. And this situation is not without precedent. This is actually the reason I got into this race, because I've seen this exact scenario play out in cities around the country, and probably most famously is in San Francisco. And so we need to be acting with urgency on this topic, because it's going to get worse before it gets better. And what we're seeing now, that rise in homelessness, those are people that are working full-time jobs, 40 hours a week. They can't afford anything. Elderly on fixed income are getting priced out. I spoke to a woman in Ahwatukee whose rent went from $1,100 to $2,100 over the past year with no improvements, and they have to leave the state. And so what we're gonna see is a professionals drain. Teachers can't live in communities where they serve. Public safety, firefighters, police officers can't work and live in the cities that they serve. Baristas and waiters and restaurant workers, we're basically carving out our entire middle class. And when we look up and look around, there won't be anything left for us to build off of. And that's exactly what happened in San Francisco. And so ultimately what Kellen's speaking to, what Joan's speaking to, what I'm speaking to is we need to add to the supply of housing. That's density, that's infill, that's looking at new parts of the city. I mentioned Taiwanese Semiconductor, it's in North Phoenix. Right now, that's surrounded by desert. They're gonna need to build strip malls, housing, shopping centers, schools, restaurants. Where can we unlock areas of the city, whether it's commercial corridors like Thomas and McDowell that are already ripe for density, or where can we unlock new cities where industry is moving in like North Central? But we need to get red tape out of the way. We need to partner with city leaders and developers. We need multifamily density, and we need to be looking at height in a way that we haven't before. Not every neighborhood needs to look like New York City. That is not what I want. But if we continue to kick the can down the road, we are going to turn away. We're educating people for 22 years, subsidizing their education. They graduate from ASU or U of A or GCU, and they leave the state because they can't afford it here. We're losing our tax base because people are moving on. We're treating our elderly like they're throwaways because they can't exist off of Social Security.
Okay.
I'm in this race because of housing, and it's the most important thing we need to fix as a city.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. For the sake of time, I'm going to ask you guys to do a closing statement, but I want you to tell us, we obviously know that our council person that is terming out has been somewhat of a roadblock and problematic. So why is it important for us to elect a Democratic council person, and what makes you the one for the job? And we'll start with Mark.
Well, I think we heard from all of our amazing speakers and elected officials, Arizona right now is at an intersection, a really cross section of what could happen. I tell people we're on a knife's edge. Phoenix needs to be a leader in what our state can do. And electing a Democrat to our city council will ensure that we maintain and retain a lot of those freedoms and liberties that are under attack right now. For example, Phoenix was the first city in the state to pass an anti-discrimination ordinance against LGBT individuals. Phoenix right now is the largest city in the country without any LGBT leadership. I'm hoping to change that and be the second after Tom Simplot. Having representation, having people with a compassionate perspective and understanding what it means to be a beacon of freedom in a state that is constantly attacking freedom is why we need to elect a Democrat. I believe I'm the candidate for the job because I have significant public sector and private sector experience, and it is my job today to bring together community leaders, volunteers, investors, entrepreneurs, and business in order to create impact across the state. I've launched statewide programs that have supported and served over 15,000 small businesses. During the pandemic, the Small Business Bootcamp out of the Commerce Authority. I lead a $1.5 million annual grant competition to entrepreneurs and startups. I know what it means to manage multi-billion-dollar budgets. I've done it in the private sector. I know what job creation looks like. Programs I lead have been responsible for more than 1,000 high-wage tech jobs created here in the state of Arizona. And I also understand how interconnected these issues are. When we talk about job creation and economic growth, we need to be talking about housing. When we talk about housing, we need to be talking about water. And when we talk about those things, we need to be talking about infrastructure. What we're doing right now is we are scaling our city. We're the 5th largest city in the country and the fastest growing. And so what are the pieces and levers that we need to pull to make sure that we don't trip over ourselves and that we successfully take ourselves to that next step and become a top-tier world-class city. I've lived in those other cities. I know what pitfalls to avoid. I know what areas to replicate so that we can emerge as a world leader as we deserve to be without getting in our own way and tripping over our own success.
Thank you, Mark. Kellen, you'll be next.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody. I believe that we, like Mark said, are in a moment, but very specifically on the city council, we could have 5 progressive votes. And to get anything done on the council, you need votes. And I have existing relationships in the council with folks in order to do that. So for the last few decades, the city has decided not to participate in ways that they could, like discrimination language, language around minimum wage, language around declarations about what the city stands for and could be. And because we have never had a progressive majority on the city council in the way that we could now, those things could happen, right? Thinking about public schools, folks say, oh, well, the city doesn't do anything in the public schools, that's for the school boards. But why is the city not making declarations around what kind of place we want to raise our families in? Why are we not making declarations about what we're going to do about water, right? So we could be leading if we had 5 votes to move things forward. Unfortunately, for the past, 10 years or so, it's been quite divided. And so I have worked for the last 15 years in Arizona, in community organizing, in labor organizing, in a very polarized state. So I have worked with Republicans, independents, Democrats, all spectrums of what those words mean, and have tried to find common ground to move through to make people's lives better. Day to day, what do I need for my family? What does success mean to me, right? Those questions and those values are lined up with a lot of people across a lot of identities. And so it's important that we listen and find out what those are and move forward as a city to embrace them. So that experience, as well as being a mom, like I mentioned earlier, is very important to me, and making sure that the city that they're growing up in is the best place, that there are opportunities for them that don't exist right now, right? So of course, democratic values are going to be super important right now in the state, like folks talked about. A woman's right to choose is at stake, is literally on the line. The city of Phoenix could be creating declarations to say that we're going to be a safe city, right? We could be bolder. We could be taking more drastic measures if we had someone in office who could bring groups together and bring people together through listening and relationships. And that person is me. I have those relationships and I have that experience. And I'd like to be elected in November to bring that to the city of Phoenix.
Thank you so much, Kellen. Joan?
Well, thank you all for staying and for gutting it out. I appreciate that. So like Mark, I too am part of the LGBTQA+ community. So there will be representation for one or both of us, or one of us on there. But more importantly, I am the only one who's run a campaign, who's built a community. Now, keep in mind that I realize that we are in a Democratic club here, but we are also 30 independent, 30 Republicans. And I'm the one who has built a community to get record votes when I ran for Congress in a very red district, 183,000 votes when we have less than 80,000 Democrats is incredible. Where did they come from? They came from independents, they came from Republicans. We have very red districts here. I can talk to everybody. We share the same common bond. I am a native Phoenician. I grew up, I know the history. Now we do have 2 GOP right now on the city council. And so we have that in common. I can have those conversations with them. We have that respect, and that's what people want. I think what they want is they want progress, but they want it where everybody is working together, where it's not an us against them. And my goal is to make sure that Jim Waring says yes more than he says no this time. So if you know Jim Waring, all he does is say no, 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 no. So that is my thing. I'm a business owner. I've wrote the checks. We have over 500,000 small businesses. I know what a small business is. We're actually more small businesses than we are large businesses. So I know how to write the check. I know the pain for them. My background is also nonprofits. So I know what it's like to squeeze the penny, so to speak, to make sure that we don't go over budget and that we evaluate our budget. We audit everything. So that's why with my background, my public, my private, my businesses, I think I'm the all well-rounded candidate, and I've got Jagger.
Thanks, Joan.
Okay.
I just want to thank all of you for being with us tonight and your patience with us going over on time here just a little bit, but I feel like we had so much important information to go over, and I thank you for your time. I wish all of you guys good luck tomorrow at your candidate forum at the Ahwatukee Swim and Tennis Center. I will see you there. Hopefully some of the rest of the community will join us there too. And now it's time for Bada Bing raffle.
Sorry, this is your last chance to buy your Bada Bing raffle. We are going to hear from Jennifer Germain and Sean if they have any updates for us. But I just want to put this up there in case you wanted to buy a ticket. We can put the link in the chat. But Jennifer did have a short brief. She wanted to say something. I don't know where she is on my screen.
I'm right here, Melissa. Can you find me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you so much to the 74 of you who stayed. I've got some pretty exciting updates. Our White Mountain Apache youth that all of you helped collect school supplies for 2 years ago, they're going to be having a big press event at the White House in early October. So these are students that you guys helped get pens and pencils and computers and backpacks and clothes to go to school. And now they've graduated from high school and they are pushing through some big national legislation. And that's going to be announced in early October with President Biden on the Rose Garden lawn. So look forward to seeing our White Mountain Apache youth out there. Big congratulations to Chandrea Norman and the Juneteenth committee. Juneteenth is now a paid city holiday in the city of Chandler. So we are really excited. We're making some really big headway, and the mayor did call me and tell me that they heard us loud and clear during the election cycle, and the non-discrimination ordinance is coming. So Sean, Mitzi, and I had our annual meetings with the cities of Tempe, Mesa, and Chandler, and I got to have a great sit down with Mayor Kate Gallego to just check in on what we are doing as far as the legislature in our cities and making sure that we're aligning and we're working together to push public policy forward. We are gearing up the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Committee, and we are going to go back to the communities that we missed when COVID shut us down in 2020. So we will be doing that over the interim. And we are going to be putting together some legislation on Castro Huerta, and very, very important that we get Chris Mays elected to the Attorney General's office, because our state attorney general and even our county attorneys are going to play a very big role in prosecuting crime in Indian country moving forward because of the Supreme Court decision with Castro Huerta. I've been working with the legislature's Teen Suicide Committee, and again, touching on some of the things that Armando brought up with Native American youth being the highest amount of youth suicides. So going back and unpacking the generational trauma and the layers and layers and layers of stuff that our youth carry around, and making sure that we're bringing things to light and that we're shining big, bright spotlight and getting kids help when they need it. In 2 weeks, I'm going to do my annual Ask Me Anything event with the Mountain Point AP Government class. So I'm really looking forward to it. The teenagers usually have really, really great questions. And if you have not seen the national news, because this is probably not something that's on CNN, but the ground where the battle at Wounded Knee happened in 1890 now belongs to the Oglala Sioux Nation. So their ancestors are now part of their nation, is being put into their national trust, and it will be preserved forever as a memorial. So that is my update.
Thank you so much for everything. Okay, so I am going to, I'll put one more thing up on the screen, and then I'm going to let Joseph take over and do the bada bing. But if you do want to get your LD12 t-shirt, which I have on, you can order it by the link. So Joe, are you ready to go with the bada bing? I thank you everybody for staying.
Hi, how is everybody tonight? I want to thank everybody for your generous donations, and we have a lot of opportunities for generous donations, so please give liberally. So let's go ahead and get along with the bada bing raffle. Let me get my screen shared here, just a minute. All right, can everyone see the spreadsheet of the bada bing raffle?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's start with the pasta party. We sold 89 tickets for the pasta party. So let's go to the random page. So 1 to 89, and get our winning ticket number, number 21. Number 21 is going to fall right here. And Julia Fleeman, congratulations, Julia. Let me get that marked. And the second bada bing basket was our Margaritaville. We sold 163 tickets. Oh, the cat is chasing my cursor. Just a second.
We know what everybody wants, the margaritas. Okay, exactly. I see that.
And it was ticket number 44. So 44 is going to fall right there. And that ticket was Becky Scottney. Congratulations, Becky, and congratulations, Julia. Enjoy your baskets. And with that, I'm going to say thanks again for your generous donations. And I'm going to go back on mute.
Okay, I'm going to stay on, but that does conclude our meeting. I'll stay on for a little bit. If anybody has any questions or wants a link, you want to see something again, please let me know. I'm here. Thank you everyone that stayed on. I know it was a little longer than usual, we got a lot of information to go over, so.
I wanted to talk about the book club real